Rhode Island is particularly vulnerable to the impacts of climate change in terms of soil erosion, sea level rise, and coastal property damage. Rhode Islanders felt it with Superstorm Sandy, and they're still feeling it. Experts say that the superstorm is the new normal.
My name is Fugate. I'm the Executive Director of the Coastal Resources Management Council, and we're here to talk about a new planning effort that we're engaging in here regarding sea level rise, climate change, and erosion that we're seeing, particularly on the South Coast. So this planning effort actually got its inception as part of the Matunic process, Matunic hearings that the Council held quite some time ago. And it was part of a four-pronged recommendation that was made to the Council to try to deal with the Matunic matter, the road down there that the town was seeking a permit for to protect. The issue that we saw down there is that Matunic was, as I said in the hearing, the tip of the iceberg. We were seeing indications all along the shoreline that we had a severe problem. We also knew that, for instance, as I said in the hearing back then, Corn Neck Road in Block Island was one that was susceptible to going. And there are many other areas around the state. So there is a threat that occurs with sea level rise. We have two threats typically, and that is inundation, that is the bathtub ring sort of goes up. And then we also have erosion that occurs with storms with sea level rise. So we get a rollback of the shoreline that's associated with that. And we're going to go through some of that today. So what does the Beach SAMP, or the Shoreline Change SAMP is the official name, but it's affectionately called the Beach SAMP so that it's easier to say, is to look at the combination of all that. So that is inundation, storm surge, sea level rise, and erosion, and other impacts that are associated with climate change in the coastal region, and start to look at what the threat might be from those to particularly infrastructure, public infrastructure and residents, and then to try to start to come up with planning alternatives. The Shoreline Change SAMP, as I said, is going to be looking at coastal hazards and climate change, and it's because the times, they're changing on us right now. If we look at the town facility, the southeastern town beach, I just want to draw your attention to the fact that, so we have a large beach area here, the foreshore area here. We have the pavilion here, this boardwalk here, and then the actual beach pavilion itself. So if we were to look at this area here and measure it out, we would expect that, given the erosion rates that we had calculated previously, that it would take anywhere from 80 to 100 years for the erosion to reach the beach facility, given our previous historic rates. Now, that's the day after Sandy. So as you can see, walk through the beach, taking this out, and now we're up underneath the structure here in terms of the erosion that's occurred. So we're obviously seeing significant amounts of erosion on the South Shore. And again, this is just another view of it the day after Sandy.
What's the relationship between the CRMC and the town officials as far as like rebuilding town beaches, rebuilding facilities? How much say does your department have over what they do?
Well, in the coastal areas, obviously the council has their own directed permitting authority. What we've been trying to do is work very closely with the towns. Immediately after Sandy, for instance, we gathered with the State Building Commissioner, Deanne, and ourselves, all the building officials from the towns, and sat down and started to coordinate and have meetings on permitting issues. And there's been very close coordination back and forth between the towns.
You mentioned the importance of public discourse in this, and I know tomorrow you have the kickoff event, but how will the public discourse take shape following that event so people are aware of the magnitude of this problem and can actually see these pictures and hear what CRMC has to say?
It's intended that there will be a number of public events and media outlets to try to get this out to the public.
who's been invited and who says they're coming, and how many people are we talking about?
Just a side note, the agenda was posted yesterday, so there'll be a series of talks similar to what the Grover provided today. We have the National Weather Service coming to talk about Sandy and its impacts. This is totally open to the public. All of these stakeholder meetings will have a science component to them or a policy component to them so that we can educate, but then also get their feedback at the same time so that it's kind of a back and forth. So yeah, there's been a lot of interest into our office, from everybody from, homeowners associations just to a private citizen, NGOs, municipal officials, state agencies. There's a whole range, which is wonderful because we need everybody's involvement.
Luckily, Rhode Island is uniquely positioned to deal with the impacts of climate change in terms of adaptation and mitigation. We have great leadership, and the Rhode Island chapter of the Sierra Club is thankful for the hard work of the Coastal Resources Management Council, which has put together this Beach SAMP, Special Area Management Plan, to look at how we can deal with this growing and terrifying problem.